A person who always says that time is money, that means he measures time in terms of monetary gains. A person says that time is everything, that means he really values time a lot. So time and how you follow your time speaks a lot about chronomics, that is communication with respect to time. Next comes paralanguage. The study of paralanguage is known as paralinguistics. The set of non-phonemic properties of speech such as speaking, tempo, vocal pitch and intonational contours that can be used to communicate attitudes or other shades of meaning. In paralanguage, non-verbal components of speech such as speech, speed, pitch of voice, tone, volume, modulation, inflection, accent and accentuation are observed to understand the emotions conveyed through them. For example, a person talking in a uniform pitch and firm tone conveys a sense of authority. A person speaking in a high pitch, better, accusatory tone usually conveys anger. So yes, there is a lot to speak when we talk about paralanguage. Paralanguage is the component of meta communication that may modify or nuance meaning or convey emotions such as pitch, volume, intonation, etc. It is sometimes defined as relating to non-phonemic properties only. Paralanguage may be expressed consciously or unconsciously. The study of paralanguage is known as paralinguistics, as we have seen in the slide, and was invented by George L. Traeger in the 1950s while he was working at the Foreign Service Institute of the Department of State. His colleagues at the time included Henry Lee Smith, Charles Hockett, Edward T. Hall in developing proxemics, and Ray Birdwhishell developing kinesics. The paralinguistic properties of speech play an important role in human communication. There are no utterances or speech signals that lack paralinguistic properties, since speech requires the presence of a voice that can be modulated. The voice must have some properties, and all the properties of a voice as such are paralinguistic. However, distinction linguistic versus paralinguistic applies not only to speech but to writing and sign language as well, and it is not bound to any sensory modality. Even vocal language has some paralinguistic as well as linguistic properties that can be seen, such as lip reading and etc. We'll move on with the next part of paralanguage. We have already seen the details of paralanguage. We'll move on with the oculesics. Oculesics is a subcategory of kinesics and is the study of eye movement, that is eye behavior, eye gaze, eye related non-verbal communication. Now everybody thinks, हर किसी को ये लगता है कि हम आंखों के थ्रू कैसे कम्युनिकेट करते होंगे. Yes, it is absolutely easy. It's done consciously and unconsciously also. I would like to talk about the first example, that is anxiety. Anxiety, wetness or moisture in the eyes. Anxiety when you are fully excited. Just imagine the time when was your board result was going to be declared. Everybody has an anxiety. What will be my percentages? Will I pass or will I fail? That is nothing but anxiety. So when a person has a lot of anxiety, it can be reflected from his or her eyes, and one can see wetness or moisture in the eyes. Second is anger. That is eyes glaring and wide open. Somebody is very angry. Let's say somebody is angry with the system, with the things going on in his life, and accidentally he meets with an accident with some other person. He starts shouting. But more than that, his eyes speaks a lot. He stares, he glares, and eyes are wide open. Third is boredom. That means you are not at all interested. It might be because of monotonous job, a boring job, a tedious job, and your eyes are not focused. That means you are wandering here and there. So when you are not focused, when you are looking here and there, when you are looking at the infrastructure, when you are looking at the walls, when you are looking at the different things, that is nothing but the boredom. So when you are not focused, it can be easily seen with the help of your eyes, and your eyes says that because it is a boring situation, you are not focused. So we can see over here, boredom can be reflected with eyes not focused or focused on something else. Next comes desire. Desire, when you desire something and you get it in front of your eyes are wide open. I still remember when I was a young child, I always desired for a watch which was called a sports watch. It used to be very costly. One day, when it was presented to me, it came as a part of my desire. My eyes were wide open, and dilation of pupils you can see as written over here. So what I desire, if I can see, even though it is not gifted to me, my eyes would be open. Disgust, rapid turning away of eyes. Envy, glaring, when you don't like someone, when you're having a bad competition with someone, it can be easily reflected from eyes. Fear, when you are afraid of something, so eyes would be wide or looking downwards. For example, imagine when you were very young, father scolding to you or parents scolding to you. What happens? Eyes could be wide, but they are looking downwards. Why? Because out of fear and at times out of respect also. Happiness, glittery look to eyes. When you are absolutely delighted, when you get what you want, when you get what you deserve, you are absolutely happy, and that glitteriness can be easily reflected in your eyes. There would be slight wrinkles at the side. Interest would be intense, focus. Pity, heavy gaze to eyes, moisture in eyes. Sadness, when you are sad, there would be tears in your eyes, looking downward, possibly a sleepless appearance. Shame, eyes looking down while head is also down. And surprise, when you get as a part of surprise, your eyes are wide open. When you get something what you have not expected, your eyes are completely open, wide open. We'll move on after the oculesics. We have already seen what oculesics is all about. Oculesics talks about the eye movements. Let's read more about eye contact and eye movement. We also communicate through eye behaviors, primarily eye contact. While eye behaviors are often studied under the category of kinesics, they have their own branch of non-verbal study called oculesics, which comes from the Latin word oculus, means eye. The face and eyes are the main point of focus during communication, and along with our ears, our eyes take in most of the communication information around us. The saying, "the eyes are the window to the soul," is actually accurate in terms of where people typically think others are located, which is right behind the eyes. Eye contact serves several communicative functions ranging from regulating interaction and monitoring interaction to conveying information to establishing interpersonal connections. In terms of regulating communication, we use eye contact to signal to others that we are ready to speak, or we use it to cue others to speak. I'm sure we have all been in that awkward situation when a teacher asks a question and no one else offers a response, and he or she looks directly at us if to say, "What do you think?" In that case, the teacher's eye contact used to cue us to respond. During an interaction, eye contact also changes as we shift from speaker to listener. Our eyes bring in the visual information we need to interpret people's movements, gestures, and eye contact. A speaker can use his or her eye contact to determine if an audience is engaged, confused, or bored, and then adapt his or her message accordingly. Our eyes also send information to others. Making eye contact with others also communicates that we are paying attention and are interested in what other person is saying. eye contact can also be used to intimidate others. We'll move on to the next part of nonverbal communication. Oculesics continues, which is again a part. Happiness with the glittery eyes, pity, sadness, shame, surprise, we have already seen. Olfactics, also known as olfaction, also known as olfactics, is the sense of smell. Humans can detect individuals that are blood-related kin, mothers, fathers, and children from olfaction. Mothers can identify by body odor their biological children but not their stepchildren. In short, olfactics talks about the blood relations and the smell that we get. We can recognize people with the help of smell also. It communicates a lot. Next, we'll talk about haptics. As we can see on this slide, haptics is any form of interaction involving touch. It can mean haptic communication, the means by which people and other animals communicate via touching. Haptic perception, the process of recognizing objects through touch. Haptic poetry, a liminal art of combining characteristics of typography and sculpture. Haptic technology, technology that interfaces with the user through the sense of touch. So as we can see, wherever the touch is used within the form of perception, poetry or technology, it means touch. It means haptic. Artifacts. But before going to artifacts, let me talk more about haptics. Think of how much touch has the power to comfort someone in moment of sorrow when words alone cannot. To learn about the power of touch, we turn to haptics, which refers to the study of communication by touch. We probably get more explicit advice and instruction how to use touch than any other form of nonverbal communication. A lack of nonverbal communication, competence related to touch, could have negative interpersonal consequences. For example, if we don't allow the advice we have been given about the importance of a firm handshake, a person might make negative judgments about our confidence or credibility. A lack of confidence should have more dire A lack of competence could have more dire negative consequences, including legal punishment if we touch someone inappropriately, whether intentionally or unintentionally. Touch is necessary for human social development, and it can be welcoming, threatening, or persuasive. There are several types of touch, including functional, professional, social polite, friendship warmth, love intimacy, and so on. Touch is also important at more intimate levels. At the friendship warmth level, touch is more important and is more ambiguous than at a social polite level. At this level, touch interactions are important because they serve a relational maintenance purpose and communicate closeness like care and concern. Artifacts are forms of decorative ornamentation that are chosen to represent self-concept. They can include rings and tattoos, but many also include brand names and logos. Paying attention to customers' artifacts can give you a sense of the self they want to communicate and may allow you to more accurately adapt your message to meet their ends. We have seen the types of nonverbal communication. Let's see the advantages and disadvantages of it. Importance of nonverbal communication. There is a proverb, actions speak louder than words. In essence, this underscores the importance of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is especially significant in intercultural situations